Hello, my friends. This is part 6 in a 14-part series of charts of rock musicians, and we're going to look at the chart of Carole King. We are going to be analyzing harmonic charts. I have a link here to a video on harmonic charts if you're not familiar with them. I also have a link to part 1 of the series, which has links to all 14, well, the other 13, all the tutorial videos in the series. Carole King. Okay. Carole King, I've got some notes on her here. She wrote or co-wrote 118 pop hits on the Billboard Hot 100. 118 pop hits that she wrote or this is mind-boggling. She wrote 61 hits on the UK charts. She made 25 solo albums. She won 4 Grammy Awards, is in the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, has received other awards and recognition. This is from Wikipedia. So she's a mind-boggling songwriter, among other things, and a musician as well. And let's see what we find in her 5th, 11th, and 55th harmonics. What we're going to see is it's not Venus, Uranus, Pluto, that specific 3 planets. She's not as much of a pounding, charismatic, cathartic, intense experience. So we don't see the Pluto. We're going to see Venus and Uranus, and we're going to see her songwriting ability as well. So here's her 5th harmonic chart, and what do we see? Venus and Uranus opposition. So Venus and Uranus are going to show up in the charts of musicians and dancers in the 5th harmonic chart over and over and over again. And in this case, there's a sextile and a trine to Mercury. That's all you need, my friends. That's it. She's got, or even stronger, to the Sun. She's got a Mercury-Sun conjunction here, 11 and 13 degrees, and they're both within orb. Well, Mercury is out of orb to Venus, Sun is within orb to both, and Mercury's in orb to Jupiter. Mercury's in orb to Uranus, sorry. So anyway, we've got Sun making trines and sextiles to the Venus-Uranus. Sun will have a lot to do with your career, what you do, your presence in life. Sun, Venus, Uranus in the 5th harmonic, music and dance. One or the other is pretty much guaranteed. So we've got a musician. That's very clear from looking at this. We also have a Moon, Neptune, Jupiter pattern showing up here, showing some vision and imagination. So we've got a musician. Now where does this songwriting ability come from? We're going to expect possibly 55th, because that's the most common thing. Maybe something's going on in the 11th, because she's not just a musician, she's an extraordinary productive person. We look at the 55th harmonic, and there's a 4-planet pattern: Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Mars. What happens in the 55th harmonic pattern, it's not usually an emphasis on Venus and Uranus and the music. It's an emphasis on, when you get on creative thinking. When you get Mercury in these patterns, we saw it with Bob Dylan, Mercury, Sun, Pluto. Here you have Mercury with only 2 degrees from Mars, only 4 degrees from Saturn. It's 12 degrees from Jupiter. Mercury's within orb to all of these. It spreads 14 degrees. It's all within the 16-degree orb. Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn in the 55th harmonic. And look at the reinforcing midpoint structures. They're not extremely powerful, but they're under 1.5 degrees. So some of these are falling in the midpoints of others. Mercury's in between Mars and Saturn, and also Jupiter, Pluto. So Pluto gets pulled into this. When you see patterns like this in the 55th, you know you have creative thinking, creative arrangements with the Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Saturn focus to come up with original, dynamic, moving ideas. Choreographers have this. People who arrange and design musical sets, write music, etc. Huge pattern. There it is. My notes: Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Mars, all within orb. 4 supporting midpoint structures. And notice Uranus comes in trines. 1, 2, 3 of the planets, the Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. Venus does square the Mercury and Mars. So we're getting more planets. This basically is songwriting and musical arranging genius potential with the Uranus coming in and trining the Mercury, Mars, and Saturn, an exact, under a degree orb to Mercury. Mercury, Uranus, the Uranus coming in and trining that. Wow. This is creative thinking at its best. There it is. So we found Carole King. We found it in the 5th. She's a musician and she's a songwriter. Over and over again, the actual talent, behavior of the person is in these vibrational patterns. Really, really just amazing. And exactly in the way that we expect it. You know, she is one of the most extraordinary songwriters of modern times. And she has one of the most extraordinary 55th harmonic patterns to indicate it. Okay, so that's Carole King. If you want to continue on to the next video in the series that I have them, you don't have to do it in any particular order at this point. You can go back to part 1. I've got a link, at the beginning of this video to part 1 and jump to whatever musician interests you. But the next one I have in the series is Jimi Hendrix. Oh, his is a very interesting case. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, my friends. God bless. Namaste.